All right, welcome everybody to the first of the off-season editions of Under the Dome. Now that the Super Bowl is over with, not that anyone was watching, we are now going to kick into the off-season edition of the team, and we're going to talk a little bit about what happened in New Orleans on Sunday, and then while the rest of the country was bored out of their minds watching an illegitimate Super Bowl. But first, I'm your host, Alan Ulrich, here with my partner in crime, Sean Williams. How you doing tonight, Sean?
Well, if the Saints couldn't be there on Sunday, I really can't see any way that it could have worked out any better. and I'm fair. I'm a professional. To the undeserving champions, congratulations. To the team that was ushered into the Georgia Dome by the National Football League, I can only say, you suck. You didn't deserve to be there, and karma's a bitch. Wow. Anyway, I'm going to pay the bills real quick. We want to thank Fan First Productions for sponsoring us, or at least until we started tonight. We want to invite you guys to subscribe to our show on iTunes and on YouTube. And real quickly, I want to wish a very happy birthday to Miss Verissa, one of our very good friends. Her birthday is going to be the 7th, which is Thursday. Mm-hmm. So, Verissa, we hope you have a very happy birthday. Who dat, baby? And another friend of mine that I grew up with, one of my oldest and dearest friends, Sean Bennett. Today is his birthday. Don't worry, brother. I'm not going to tell everybody how old you are. So, but I mean, if they know how old I am, they're going to know how old you are. So, with that being said, we're going to move along now. I am so proud right now of, and when you're a Saints fan, New Orleans is your city. You may live in Kalamazoo, Michigan, but if you are a member of the Who Dat Nation, New Orleans is your city. I'm so proud of my city right now because not only did they take us the wrong that was done them, the Saints, I don't even remember what all they called it. I heard several different things, but we'll just call it the Super Bowl protest. It actually drew way more people than the Super Bowl that actually played out. Of course, we're going to talk about that in a little while. I'm so proud of the Who Dat Nation because they took a stand on something that was wrong. And I think today, as a matter of fact, it was I saw some kind of update on my phone that the New Orleans Saints were rated first in game day satisfaction, or I can't remember exactly how it was worded. Game day experience, maybe. But that's something that we all knew. The only thing that I can tell the Los Angeles Rams, the NFL, the New England Patriots, get ready, because in 2019 you brought this on yourselves. Every week when it's a 39-point spread at halftime and Sean Payton's going for it on 4th down and Drew Brees is throwing bombs with a 20-point lead at the half. Hey, you asked for this. Deal with it. Because, and this is, again, this is something that we're going to get into towards the bottom of the show. The New Orleans Saints, I feel like, are going to approach this 2019 season with basically a scorched earth policy. They're going to go. They're going to go out there, and God forbid the game should come down to a call, no call in the last 2 minutes to decide a winner or a loser. There were games this year that were way, way closer than they had to be because Sean Payton played it close to the vest. Now, I don't fault him for that because, I trust my coach. I'll just say it that way. He knows what he's doing, but there were a lot of times that he was probably way more careful than he really had to be. So, as Alan always puts it, when things turned out the way that they did, it's kind of like on Madden, where you press the square button and Petty Sean Payton is activated. You have no idea what you have done because Sean Payton is just an arrogant enough jackass to do it. And don't you ever think that he won't.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I was very proud of what the city did because I know everyone's tired of hearing, and I spent most of the Super Bowl actually fighting with people on Twitter, but, people are tired of hearing about the no call and things like that. And the Rams played a lot like they didn't belong there. And it's easy as a Saints fan to sit there and point and laugh at them because, they had a good defensive effort against a weak Patriots team. But I found it interesting. I didn't watch the game at all. As I told some people, I watched a replay of Super Bowl 44 that I've got on DVD. I watched the replay of the Saints 2009 season. Then I watched some other stuff. I didn't know what happened in the game until my phone flashed the alert that the game was over. I just saw things on Twitter, and then I read some of the reviews of the game and discussion about the game. And what you saw out there, it was interesting. Sean Payton said before the NFC Championship game he wanted the fans to begin cheering as soon as the play was over and get louder and louder until the next snap. And the reason why, of course, is McVay talks to Goff the entire time about what he's not only the play, but what he sees, because the Rams like to run up to the line, look at what the defense is doing, and McVay is telling Goff, hey, they're in this kind of coverage. This should be your hot route. This audible to a run, do whatever. And you saw that in the divisional round with the Dallas Cowboys. Their defense was so easy for him to read that they kept audible into runs when Dallas was in pass defense and so forth, and they got a lot of yardage that way. What Belichick did, first off, what Sean Payton did, was have the crowd make so much noise that you saw early in the first quarter the Rams taking Goff's helmet apart to try and crank up the headset so they could they could hear everything. And you also saw for the first half, probably into the third quarter, a lot of confusion by the Rams offense. It wasn't very sharp executing it. Belichick saw that. We know Belichick, what he likes to do. Whatever the strength of your team is, he's going to take that away and make you beat him with whatever you're the worst at. In this case, you saw Belichick have his defense line up for one look And then with about 17 seconds or 15 seconds left, because it cuts off at 15, the defense would suddenly shift. Now Goff's got to read it and make the audible on his own. And what we saw at McVay, super genius, brilliant offensive coordinator that he is, offensive mind that he is, because that's what the media keeps telling us. He's got training wheels on Goff. And in the Super Bowl, you cannot have training wheels on your quarterback, especially when you're going against Darth Sidious, Bill Belichick. So you saw the Patriots take advantage of that. Well, those who read it, not the people who actually watched the game. I didn't even pay attention to what was going on as it was happening. I just found it fascinating to read the analysis afterwards. That part of the reason why the Rams offense looked so ineffective was because they were forcing Goff to make decisions on his own, and he looked confused, rattled, panicked. And I also think there's something fundamentally wrong with Todd Gurley. I really do. I think knee injury that he had at the end of the year, because he was, until the Saints game this year, and not the playoff game, I'm talking about the regular season game, they were talking about Gurley as being an MVP candidate. And he kind of fell off the map around Thanksgiving, right after Thanksgiving, when we got to December.
That Kansas City game.
Yeah, he got a knee injury, and he was never the same. And, Pillsbury Doughboy that they picked up off of waivers, C.J. Anderson, started getting more carries. And you saw even in that Dallas game, C.J. Anderson getting more carries, I believe, than Todd Gurley. So I just found that really interesting, because that just made it even harder on Goff to try and win that game, because Belichick felt like what makes the Rams dangerous is the running game. And if you take away that running game and you make those, and once Cooper Kupp was gone, we talked about this when we were talking about the playoff game, once Cooper Kupp was gone, you're going to make Brandon Cooks and Robert Woods beat you. They weren't afraid of those guys, especially Belichick. He knew what Cooks could do. Let him catch all the balls he wants between the 20s, but when he gets to the red zone, don't let him get behind you. And when you get in the red zone, you can knock him down because he's small. Yep. So it was a good game plan. It was not a good defensive game. I don't care what people say. That was not a good defensive game. No. I've seen good defensive Super Bowls. And what I read more offensive ineptitude than a good defensive game.
It's like you and I have talked about almost endlessly in the 2.5 years that we've been doing this. In big games, there is absolutely no substitute for experience. Right. You had Bill Belichick, who basically is there every year, and you had Sean McVay, who arguably didn't deserve to be there to begin with, but skated in, and Belichick, like you said, Belichick has a game plan, and it's generally a foolproof game plan, and he executed it to perfection. And your comment about Gurley, I think that's 100% right. From what I understand about what I've read, they tried basically out of desperation. They wanted to use C.J. Anderson for the first half, and then save Gurley for maybe the last half and make an impact. And he was a non-factor. He's hurt. He's hurt way more than what they've admitted to in the press. But when it comes right down to it, you've got a head coach that is younger than probably 3/4 of his roster, going against Darth Sidious. So who's going to win that match? Who's going to win that matchup?
Yeah, he and he made the typical mistake that all first-year coaches or young coaches make when they get to the Super Bowl. They don't realize the magnitude of the game, and they try and do a lot of the same things they did during the regular season, thinking, well, we'll just play it like another game. Well, I'll never forget Morton Anderson when he said that he missed that chip shot field goal in 1998, the Denver Broncos Super Bowl, when he was with the Falcons. He said, when you line up, kick that field goal, and you look in the end zone, and usually the end zone has some security people, and they've got the guys who attend to the net and things like that. And instead of seeing that like you see in the regular season game, all you see are rows and rows of photographers and cameras looking at you. And it suddenly dawns on you the magnitude of this game. And the pressure gets to you. You cannot do the same things you did during the regular season. And that's the good thing about Sean Payton being a disciple of Bill Belichick. Bill Parcells. He had Parcells to lean on when it came to coming up with a game plan for the Super Bowl. And Greg Williams, who had been there before as an assistant, had a defense. They talk about this in Super Bowl 44, that he had a defense for the first half, a defense for the third quarter, and then a defense that Peyton Manning hadn't seen all year for the fourth quarter, just to keep Peyton Manning from picking out whatever your weakness is and exploiting it. So that, running ambush, doing those kind of things, that was stepping outside of your regular season box. And I think that's what the reason why someone like a Sean Payton won a Super Bowl, whereas McVay looked horribly outcoached.
Again, I mean, you go back to a year ago. You see the Rams just absolutely – they ran roughshod over people. Gurley was just blowing it up, and then they get in the playoffs against the Falcons and absolutely lay an egg. He got out coached.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and I also think, going back to what we did, spending an entire week and a half, trying to justify you even having to be there, dealing with the no call and the fallout of the no call, and hearing the talking heads say, the Rams are an illegitimate team. The Rams don't belong there. The Saints had the game stolen from them. They were robbed. All those things, and having to answer those kind of questions, that just put doubt in their mind. They couldn't focus on that game because, you got people fighting with, that idiot Nickel Roby fighting with Saints fans online. Saying, I hope they forgive me. And then, posting that video where he looks high. I slapped that bitch and all that stuff. I mean, you're going to the Super Bowl. Why are you fighting with fans? Why are you posting that kind of stuff? But that shows a lack of focus by the team. So I'm not surprised they came out there looking like crap, because that team should have gone out there ready to kick somebody's ass, to blow out the Patriots because they wanted to make a statement that they deserved to be there. And instead, the statement they made was they didn't deserve to be there, that they were a fraudulent team, that they were an inferior team. Because how do you only score 3 points? You got this high-scoring offense, and you can only score 3 points against arguably the weakest Patriots team to ever go to a Super Bowl.
Yep.
So
your offense averaged 39.4 points a game during the season.
Yep.
Okay, and during the postseason, I think it was like 30, 35, 37, something like that. It may not have been that high in the postseason, but you score 3. You don't think voodoo is real? You don't think that karma is real?
And like I said, I just laughed because here we are I'm reading on Twitter, reporters now, not just Rams fan, put the S in parentheses, but reporters sitting there going, Look at this New Orleans people throwing a giant temper tantrum. We're having a party. We're not watching the game. We're having a party. And you're mad about that. Today, some journalist watchdog thing, I don't even know what this is because it's really more of an echo chamber. It's not even a watchdog group. Said, oh, I don't want to hear about the Times-Picayune claiming a waste of paper and ink and everything else because they posted a front page story where they decided to get petty and just use an entire front page with just the words Super Bowl, what Super Bowl? It sold out. People loved it. You know, and they're like, well, they could have written, there was other things going on in the world. They could have written, they could have written the whole thing about Trump like everyone else does. I mean, no, we have fun. We enjoy life. Instead of getting mad and flipping cars and burning things and things like that, we have a party. And wait till you see Mardi Gras. I've already seen some of the floats. There's going to be more Roger Goodell floats. Flags will be thrown. Blind refs. Themes. Themes upon themes. Mocking the NFL, the Super Bowl, the Rams, Roger Goodell. Sean Payton shows up at a press conference with the clown Roger Goodell shirt on underneath his regular shirt. And instead of just zipping it all the way up, he leaves it just a little bit exposed so you can tell what that is. That's New Orleans. That's how we roll. It's about fun. We're going to make fun of you, but we're going to do it laughing. We're not going to be mean. We're not going to be ugly.
We're next year.
Laugh. Yeah. Well, I cannot. I mean, I posted this on Twitter last week, and it's so true. The New Orleans Saints, way back in the early 70s, I want to say it was against the Dallas Cowboys, because the next quote was Tom Landry saying, there should be a rule. You shouldn't be able to boo somebody that long. The Saints, back in Old Tulane Stadium, once set an unofficial record of booing for over 22 minutes. Why I am not surprised that all this boycott worked, because it's something it's easy to do. Turn it off. Go outside and enjoy a party. They had bands. They had drink specials. They had a whole list of drinks, all named after different things involving the Rams, Roger Goodell, the call, everything else. And, it's a party. It's an excuse to have a party. Nowhere else in this country would you see something like that. Just like if we would have won the Super Bowl, we would have won the Super Bowl, because I have no doubt we would have scored more than 13 points against the Patriots, because Drew Brees, been there, done that, bought the T-shirt. I've seen every defense you can throw at me, Belichick. We will find the weakness and we will exploit it. But the thing about the Saints, if they would have gone to the Super Bowl and beaten the Patriots, look at the parade they threw in 2009. The kickers were on the float from Muses with the shoe. You had the train from Orpheus. You had Endymion's float. You had the Bacchosaurus. You had all kinds of themed floats. They're throwing beads. Most cities, the victory parade is players on a flatbed. No, we know how to party. We know how to have a celebration. We know how to have a good time. That's why it was so fun to watch us. And it was hilarious for us to look at this, the reaction by the rest of the country. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand this. I don't know what I don't know how do you explain this? You're angry, but you're partying. What? That makes no sense. So, hey, that's why we are the way we are. Like, New Orleans is kind of like something that was just stuck on the end of the United States. A little bit different. We're a little bit odd. And that's what you have to deal with us,
Well, let me ask you this. And I don't mean to be conspiracy theorist.
Mhm.
This question was put to me, and initially when they asked me this question, I just kind of blew it off, and then I got to thinking about it later, thinking, there really is, there's something there to think about. The whole outcry, cry out, however you want to look at it, following the no call
Mhm.
that screwed the Saints.
Mhm.
How much do you? And I'm asking your opinion here. How much do you feel like that played into the MVP voting? Because there was a week there that there was a lot of hell raising, and that really didn't amount to a whole lot, but it felt good to sit back and bitch about it. But in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't really going to change it. How much do you feel like that played into Mahomes getting that MVP award?
I don't think it had played at all. It had any impact at all with that. And here's why. The reality is, for Drew Brees, he didn't throw for 4,000 yards, and Mahomes threw for 5,000. Mahomes threw for 50 touchdowns. I think Drew had, 40, 38, something like that. I have to go look again. I had that number earlier. It was not, even though Drew Brees broke his own record for a completion percentage, it was not statistically his best year. He only threw 32 touchdowns this year. Okay.
Yeah.
Versus 50. It was not his best year doing this. So had Drew Brees thrown for, and I said this earlier, 4,500 yards and 42 to 47 touchdowns, where the stats are still relatively close, then he'd have a greater argument. The second thing was, because of injuries to the offensive line and to the receiving core starting to show its inexperience, and in some cases its age with Ben Watson, Drew he didn't dominate teams come after the Dallas game. We had games like when he played against Cincinnati, like when he played against the Rams, where he looked unstoppable. But those last games, from the Dallas game to the Pittsburgh game, he never looked like the unstoppable machine that he did earlier in the season, or about midway in the season there, or that we have seen in 2011, 2009, even to an extent 2013. He never looked like that unstoppable player that we got used to seeing. So I think because that gap between Mahomes, statistically, between Mahomes and Brees, it was easier to give it to Mahomes. In 2011, 2009, I'm thinking some of the other, 2016, 2013, you had quarterbacks who had seasons statistically that were right there with Drew Brees, that it was unfair or not, they gave it to them. I thought he deserved it in 2011. I really did.
Yeah.
I felt that they gave it to Aaron Rodgers purely based on record, and because he beat Brees head to head in the first game of the season. But that was Brees' MVP year. That even though he had, he really hadn't had a better season than that. I mean, he broke Dan Marino's record that year. He threw 46 touchdown passes. He's had better completion percentage years, but he did set the record that year for completing passes. He had 14 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, but it wasn't. He threw 46 touchdown passes. I mean, it wasn't like it was, relatively close. It was a huge gap.
Yeah.
So I think they went purely based on record with by giving it to Aaron Rodgers. So this year until the Dallas game, I think he had a great argument. I think those last 3 games towards the end of the season really torpedoed his MVP candidacy. That's just how I see it.
Well, I that question being asked of me, it got me to thinking, and and someone else has asked me as well, as a matter of fact.
Mm-hmm.
All this hell raising that Saints fans are doing, and all of the Roger Goodell go to hell memes,
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering how that's going to affect this team moving forward, because it'll either. I mean, I know that it's going to motivate the team to a level that they have yet to reach, but also at the same time, does it not paint a big target on our back?
No more of a target than we've already had. Here's the thing about it, though, and I really saw it this year, this postseason after that game. The way Drew Brees is reacting. You remember what I told you when we made that trade for Teddy Bridgewater? I didn't like the trade. I thought it was a waste of a draft pick. Yet, I said one or two things had to happen. They had to have a conversation, because I thought if they were really interested in Bridgewater, they could have signed him in the offseason instead of signing I can't think of his name. Tom Savage. If they really thought he was the future, you don't sign Tom Savage, you bring in Bridgewater, and you groom him for the future. And I think at the end of training camp, when they made that trade, Brees, Loomis, and Peyton all had a conversation, and they sat down and said, "Listen, this is going to be my last training camp. If we go as far as I think we can go, and we win the Super Bowl, this will be my last training camp, and I am seriously considering retiring after this year." And because they didn't have a first-round pick, I think Peyton and Loomis decided to go ahead and make the trade for Bridgewater. Because later on in the season, at one of the locker room things, you hear Drew Brees say, "This is why I came back this year." Okay, that quote sticks with me. Then I watched him on some of the YouTube clips and stuff of him discussing the play and discussing the play call and his reaction after the NFC Championship loss. He looked dejected. He didn't look focused like, "I'm pissed now. We're going to go and kick some ass and scorch the earth." He looked dejected like, "I've got to make another run now. I am not going out this way." And that's probably the hardest part about this upcoming season, because the pressure is going to be so great on this team that they impose upon themselves to finish the job. And it's so hard. And this is why I'm so angry still about it. And I'll never get over this bad call. It is so hard to win 13 games, to lock up that number 1 seed, to have home field advantage throughout the playoffs. It's so hard to do that, especially back-to-back. We have never done that back-to-back. We've had winning seasons and playoff seasons back-to-back, but we've never had a dominant Saints team show up season after season. The closest you're going to have under Sean Payton is these past 2 years, 2017 and 2018. That's the closest we're going to have to that, because you look at 2009 to 2010, yes, we went to playoffs back-to-back, but What happened in 2010? Drew Brees had a terrible year. We lose in the wild card round. We didn't even lose in the divisional round. We lost the wild card round. 2006, we get to the NFC Championship game, lose. The following year, we don't even make the playoffs. 2011, another 13-3 team. Thought we could make another run in 2012. Finally gate. 2013, we have the playoffs, make the divisional round. 2014 is our worst year under Peyton. 7-9 to begin the 7-9 seasons. So, it's so hard, and I just don't know if they have it in them to meet all the goals they have to meet. The 13-3 record, the 10 or 11 game winning streak, and winning that division. That's what I think is going to be hard for us. Not what the other teams are going to do, not the bullseye on our back, but the pressure we're going to put on ourselves to make another run. It's just going to be so hard.
It's odd to me because you and I have spoke at great length on this show about how we believed with the roster moves that they were making, the things that they were doing, it became blatantly obvious to us that they were going all in on this being the year. Now there's going to be some issues coming up that they're going to have to make probably some hard decisions on. You have guys like Okafor, Ingram, to name a couple there. You've already lost Millette to the Jets, but you're going to have to make these decisions and try to make another run after what you went all in on that. And I think that's going to be really. I'm not saying that it is not possible, because I believe in this team, I believe in this coach, and I believe in these players. I'm just going to say that, to reiterate what you just said, no one that I know of expected this 2018 team to go 13-3. I think that I predicted 11-5 maybe, and that was a very in my mind in the preseason anyway. That was a very generous estimate because I just couldn't see it, and not just an indication based on the team, but on just how incredibly difficult a schedule that this team had going into this year. Yeah. And like you've always said there again, to make that run in the course of a season, you have to be good. Yes. You have to have that roster. Yes. You have to have that coach. Yes. But you've also got to get some breaks along the way. You've got to win those. You have to win some of those games that you're not supposed to win. And the Saints did that this year. Now, the likelihood of doing it 2 years in a row, I would say would probably decrease by a factor of at least 50%, if not way more. It's going to be really hard. It's not going to be impossible. And, it's one thing for the season last year, the Minnesota Miracle, for the season to have ended that way and these guys come back saying, we're going to kill people and we're going to write our own ending. Okay, that was a motivational thing, and I get that. It is really, I mean, you and I have both been players. It's really hard to do that 2 years in a row. Okay, we got blown. We blew that one. We're going to come back and really kill this year. Oh my God, it happened again. We're going to really kill next year.
Well, no, I think we have the young enough roster to be able to do that. I think we have a couple of moves we have to make. One of them is bringing this guy back, get better at tight end position, get another receiver or two, an experienced receiver like a Cole Beasley, and get some sort of speed threat in the draft. A more polished and developed receiver than Traquan Smith was. And Cameron Meredith, let's see what he can do for you. But the Keith Kirkwoods, the Tommy Lee Lewis's,
Carr.
The Austin Carrs, you can't rely on those kind of guys anymore. Drew Brees is at an age now where those guys have to do more for him. He is not going to be able to do the things he used to be able to do to make a James Jones, a Adrian Arrington, those kind of guys, shot game ago, have a more dependable receiving core who can do things on their own and take pressure off of Michael Thomas.
Well, as far as Austin Carr goes, if Austin Carr was going to do anything with the New Orleans Saints, he would have already done it.
Well, yeah.
I'm patient to the point of, okay, we kept you on active roster for a year and you never saw the field. I had to believe that Sean Payton saw something there to invest that belief in. You had an entire season this year. How many catches did you make? Right. If you're not part of the problem, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. 45 game day and 30-man roster, there's not enough room for someone that is not going to contribute.
Well, you look at a team like the Rams. I made fun of them for the fact that, they were going to try and win a game with Robert Woods and Brandon Cooks. But the fact is, those are good complementary receivers when you have a Cooper Kupp. Those are good receivers to have. That's a good triumvirate. As much as we make fun of the Atlanta Falcons, what makes the Falcons scary on offense is Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, and Mohamed Sanu. You've got three good quality receivers there. Outside of Michael Thomas, you really don't have that. Even with a healthy Ted Ginn Jr., you really don't have that in New Orleans right now. You really need two other quality receivers, one a speed guy who puts the fear of God into a defense, and the other an unbelievable slot guy who can play outside but is an unbelievable slot guy who just finds ways to get open. Then you throw in a tight end that you can move all over the field like the Patriots do with Gronkowski, like the Chiefs do with Kelsey, or like how the Saints used to do with Jimmy Graham. It's a matchup nightmare. That just opens up so much more for Ingram and Kamara. Because now can you imagine having to defend the Saints where you have, and we're just going to say Jimmy Graham, but you have a Jimmy Graham or a Travis Kelsey or a tight end like that who can attack the seam. Then you got a speed threat who takes the top of the defense off. And if you let him get behind you, Breeze is going to throw it to him. Or can take the quick slant and go 80 yards to the house because no one's going to catch him. And then you couple that with a Michael Thomas. Now you got to deal with that in your secondary and against your linebackers. Here comes Alvin Kamara out of the backfield. Here comes Mark Ingram, who is a much better receiver than he was 3 or 4 years ago. He's probably the best screen guy we got on the team. Now your offense is so much more difficult to defend. You can't just send guys in after Breeze to try and disrupt the offense because he will find an open guy. That's the part. If we can fix some of that, then I will feel better about getting 13 wins and repeating as division champion for the third year in a row and be able to advance in the playoffs. But right now, February 5th of 2019, where we haven't made a move yet, we haven't addressed anything yet, it's hard. And that's why it's so frustrating, because in many ways it's worse than 2011, because 2011 you knew if we would have beaten the 49ers, but we beat ourselves. But if we would have beaten the 49ers, we were going to kick the Giants' ass. And we probably would have handled that Patriots team because of how good that offense was. This year, You had a rotten call, take away a game that we would have had won, and then you play the worst Patriots team in that they've ever seen to the Super Bowl, and you felt like that team would have caused all kinds of matchup problems for the Patriots. And that team would have scored more than 13 points in the postseason against the Patriots in the Super Bowl. That team probably wins a 27-24 kind of game. So it's 2 Super Bowls you feel like we missed out on. And with a 40-year-old quarterback, you don't know how many more chances you have like that. And so I'm sorry to be such a downer, and it's this part of the season. There's so many unknown factors right now. Let's see what happens come free agency. Let's see what happens, how they attack the draft. Do they only stick with 1 second rounder, or do they burn off the future again to try and move up to get something in the first or get another 3rd-round pick? Who knows? I mean, there's so many things that we have yet to learn. But right now, it's frustrating because we should be celebrating. We should have had this show preempted because a parade was coming down Poydras Street tonight. That's just how – I mean, it's true. That's how I feel. And I work on Poydras Street. I've been right in front of my building. That'd have been awesome.
So, just kind of an overview of it anyway. We have to upgrade at tight end.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have faith in Josh Hill, but Josh Hill is going to have to stay healthy. And so far, that has not been able to be the case.
Well, you're at peak Josh Hill. I mean, this is as best as Josh is going to be. He is a number 2 guy, a blocking tight end who can catch passes when he has to, but he is not your number 1 tight end. He is not a receiving threat. He just isn't. I mean, you need a Travis Kelce on this team. You need that kind of tight end. Where that tight end is going to come from, I don't know. I really don't know.
Okay, probably the more focused question moving forward for this Saints team. Do you see any way that they let Ingram walk? Because if I understood it correctly, Ingram's played out his contract, correct?
Yes. Ingram wants to stay. The Saints want him. If someone offers him stupid money, and I mean stupid money, like you're giving him, I don't know, like you would be paying a 25-year-old running back who just rushed for 1,000 yards and 15 touchdowns kind of money. I mean, so you're giving him you're setting the bar for running backs. I think he'll be back. But if someone like Tampa Bay wants to be stupid and petty and offer him a fortune just so you can take away from the Saints, then he'll walk. And that creates a hole. And it's a hole the Saints can't fill right now because we saw that in the first 4 games. You don't have another running back that can do what Ingram does. Alvin Kamara, you cannot base his offense on Alvin Kamara, even though he's been getting more and more carries each year. Alvin Kamara cannot be your bell cow. He has to be in a tandem. That's the only way this will work. As good as Kamara is, he has to rotate in and out. You cannot have him on the on the field for every offensive snap. You just can't. He's going to wear down. And you'll see what you saw this year with the offensive line. That's what you will see with Alvin Kamara. We need more depth in the offensive line.
Yes.
That's something else we need. We're good at the 5 starters, but you need more depth, better depth than what you've got right now.
Yeah. Do you think that I mentioned this, made reference to this earlier. Do you think that there will be any issue with these guys being more motivated as opposed to less motivated for the way that things came to an end this year?
In 2005, when the Steelers didn't get to the Super Bowl, I'm sorry, 2004, Roethlisberger's rookie year, when the Steelers didn't get to the Super Bowl, Roethlisberger told the boss, Jerome Bettis, I will get you back there. I will get you back. I owe it to you. So the Steelers did get to the Super Bowl in 2005, or Super Bowl 40. Um, I think this team's young core will motivate me rallying around Drew Brees to get him back to the Super Bowl. I'm not worried about them. I'm more worried about the things we can't control. So, no, I don't think there's going to be any kind of hangover or anything like that. I think this team, and Drew said it too, and I think Sean Payton said it, what's sad about it is this is the end of that team because players will change. Things will change. But that's the end of that locker room. Okay? You will see guys leave that team. But the young core that makes up the bulk of that team, they're the ones who will be motivated to get that Super Bowl for Drew. The Alvin Kamaras, the Cam Jordans, the Sheldon Rankins, the Marshawn Lattimore, the Michael Thomases. Those are the guys who are going to be motivated to go get that Super Bowl for Drew. So, that's what I'm confident in those guys. I'm confident that they will be able to do what they need to do.
I am too. I believe in this team, and you. I think that you hit the nail on the head earlier when you made reference to the fact that this is a young team, so you don't have to be as concerned with their motivation. They're not that far removed from the college game and the competitiveness that's involved in that. So I don't really worry about the players. And yeah, just to echo what you said there, I worry way more about the things that we can't control than the things that we can. And I, to be honest with you, we make vague references to it and make jokes about it, but I really and sincerely do believe you're going to see the scorched earth policy, the petty Sean Payton, because everybody from the top to the bottom of this roster, this organization, this fan base, everybody feels like we were screwed. And the only way that you're going to make that right is to go out there and do it on the field. You're not going to get any satisfaction. Go ahead.
I'm say address those concerns I have in free agency. Get some more playmakers on offense. Re-sign the guys you have to re-sign. Make a couple of adjustments on defense to get a little bit better there too. Get a kick returner for God's sake. And I feel like we will have a better team than what we had this year. And I feel like that's the kind of team that can, we can play football any way you want. You want to play a shootout? We're going to roll with you with a shootout. You want to have an ugly street fight? We can do that too. That's what I have confidence in everyone. We need to make those moves, and let's see what happens come May. When we see what this roster looks like come May, that's when I'll start feeling confident again of the scorched earth policy. But right now, I'm still in that angry, frustrated, can't believe we missed out on a Super Bowl for Drew mood right now. So we'll see. We
want to thank everyone for joining us tonight for Under the Dome. We love our followers. We invite you guys to subscribe to us on iTunes and on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook, Under the Dome Podcast. Thank everyone for being involved in the live chat that we do each week. And we look forward to seeing you guys again. Same bat time, same bat channel, right here again next week on Under the Dome. And I'll throw it to my partner in crime, Mr. Alan Ulrich.
Well, thank you guys for joining us, as Sean said. I mean, I know there wasn't anything on TV tonight. That's for damn sure. But yes, thank you so much for joining us. And it'll get better. I'll get better. I won't be as frustrated, I promise you. It's too fresh in my mind. People still ask me about it, and I always do the same thing. And I'm this close to carrying a PowerPoint presentation in my pocket with me so I can show you why I'm angry. But it'll get better. It'll get better, and I'm feeling good. I think that with Mrs. B, Gail Benson, we have the right people in the front office with Mickey Loomis and Jeff Ireland. We lost, unfortunately, a really good special teams coach, Mike Westhoff. We didn't talk about that at all. But Mike Westhoff and Banta and Kevin O'Day were all let go this offseason. They're going to upgrade the special teams coach, the special teams, I guess, with a guy from Miami. We'll see how this plays out. That's why I said we need a kick returner in the worst way. We got the kicker, we got the punter. We just need a returner. Address those issues and the stuff we talked about tonight, and I'm going to feel a hell of a lot better about this upcoming season, no matter who we play and where we play them, because I know this dome will be rocking. This fan base is motivated. We just got to finish the job. We'll finish the job this coming year. Thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you next time in Under the Dome. Good night, everybody.